Okay folks, we've got a lot to cover. We need to talk about the latest in the CCiv Lucid merger, and let me tell you, this is just on fire today. We need to talk about what the heck happened with helion and where we see this going. I want to talk about Fisker, up a nice 20% today. And lastly, I want to give you an update on bngo. As you know, we've had a price target of $17 to $18 on this guy, and it had a very nice rally today. So I want to talk about that and some lessons to take away from that. And the only thing that Charlie asks in return is that you hit that ravishing like button and also subscribe. Okay, let's get to work. CCiv. We started talking about this guy at $14 after the talks were announced, and even though we still don't have an official announcement, this guy went all the way up to highs at, what was this, 40.71 at the time that I was making this video. Just completely wild. It goes to show you how valuable it is to be aware of something before the rest of the speculator crowd is. But anywho, today the dude in charge of the SPAC, Michael Klein, it was announced that he was focusing more on some of his other SPACs and raising capital for them, which a lot of people are connecting to mean that now that he's focusing on these other SPACs, maybe that means that a lot of the talks are wrapped up with CCiv. But the big concrete news that we have right now is an update from Venrock Associates. Venrock Associates were one of the oldest investors in Lucid. Apparently they are negotiating a sale of their Lucid stake to CCiv. And the idea that more parties are getting on board in these talks is a good thing. It means that they could be well on their way to actually coming to an overall agreement. But it's also worth noting that an SPAC doesn't acquire a full company. It usually acquires about 10 to 15 to 20%, usually 10%. And so in some sense, more stakeholders coming to the table makes it more likely that Lucid is going to go and merge with CCiv. But it's also worth mentioning that the reason this is taking so long in the first place is likely because of disagreements on valuation. So more parties coming to the table could add more disagreeing parties. More opinions on what Lucid should be valued at. There was a huge press piece today of a walkthrough on the inside of Lucid's factory in Arizona. And as you know, there's no such thing as coincidences when it comes to the stock market. In my opinion, these press releases were perfectly timed as a broader strategy to drum up investor interest, both in anticipation before they actually go to the public market, but also perhaps for these merger talks. Let's also be real, there's not many opportunities to invest in American startup EV companies that actually have factories and are actually going to be delivering on the road shortly. But anyways, we've talked in the past that if Lucid and CCiv end up merging, well, I see this at $70 to $80, but I don't think it's going to hold there. Usually what happens is it's the type of thing where you get a huge run up in terms of anticipation and rumors, but then when the news comes, you get an original pop and then it sells off. So my take is that this is certainly a sell the news type of deal. Don't be afraid to take some profits off the table as well. If you got in when we first started talking about this as sort of a speculation play, we talked about it at like 14 bucks. So 14 to 40, I think it's time to lock in some profits, especially because the merger hasn't been confirmed yet. So you can lock in a lot of profits without actually having the risk of merger. In the beginning, I was spitballing this at around 40 bucks valuation anyway. So I would say do not feel bad about taking some profits off the table if you got in back when we first started talking about it. I think long-term Lucid's going to be a huge winner, but I'd wait to get a discount if you're going to buy Lucid post-merger. Okay, next, helion. So HYLN popped up like 30% yesterday and then sold off today. The catalyst with this was battery improvement. Their new battery will be capable of up to 5 times as much cycle life as compared to the conventional EV battery. It will have improved heat dissipation, which essentially allows for higher charge and discharge rates of the battery and longer sustained power output. Here's the thing that I really like. The battery can be charged and recharged in under 8 minutes, which, going back to some of my charging plays, speed of charge is one of the most important things for convenience and practicality. And obviously when it comes to a commercial truck, well, speed is very, very important. You can't have your trucks waiting for hours waiting to recharge. Generally speaking, how trucking companies handle their logistics, and myself coming from a trucking family, so I know, well, you usually have 2 guys per truck. One drives and the other sleeps, and then that guy rotates, and then the other drives and the other sleeps. There's a limited amount of time that each person can legally be on the road, so when one guy sleeps or rests, the other's driving and then they switch off, and then sometimes they take breaks, obviously, to go eat, and other things. But the goal is to have the truck on the road as much as possible, so they're not just going and stopping and sleeping for 10 hours every state or every 100, 500 miles. If they were, they'd have the ability to charge, but they're not. So you need something similar to a gas station where you could just go park, charge in 8 minutes, and then leave. If you're running a commercial trucking company, you want your trucks on the road as much as possible. So something like this makes a helion truck an actual candidate for something you could buy. And in terms of my thoughts on HYLN as a company, back on December 16th, I said this. Here's the deal. At this level, HYLN is ridiculously cheap. Unless you legitimately believe that this company is going to fail literally everything that it does for the next 3 to 4 years, well then I don't see how it can be valued at this level for long. But let me just admit, I am a dirty chart nerd. This is still the case in my opinion. My opinion hasn't changed. Helion, helion, whatever you want to call it, is still good under 20 and it's still a good deal. Okay, Fisker is just on fire today. Fisker. It's not mine. Don't make fun of Charlie. Okay, Fisker is just on fire today. This was as Morgan Stanley upgraded it to $27, stating that it has deceptively low execution risk because of its partnership with Magna. Magna, of course, is a mobility technology company that produces automotive systems, assemblies, modules, and components, which are supplied then to General Motors, Ford, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Tesla, and many others. But the reason that this is a big damn deal is because this takes a lot of the manufacturing risk out of the picture for Fisker. The Morgan Stanley analyst went on to say, "We think investors underestimate that Fisker's path to commercialization is significantly aided by Magna, which has a mastery of bringing high-quality vehicles to market on time with high quality and good economics." This is an interesting point they raise in terms of actually getting Fiskers to market and competing in an efficient way. The use of a company like Magna to make the manufacturing process happen faster, well, that takes a lot of the guesswork away in the beginning of the manufacturing process, and it's likely to save Fisker from having a lot of those beginning stage problems that companies like Tesla had when they started rolling cars off the lot. In terms of going a little bit more to their price target, it says their price is assuming they sell 419,000 vehicles by 2030. For context, Tesla delivered 180,000 vehicles just in the last quarter of 2020, but the Fisker price target is saying 2030, so it's basically giving Fisker 9 years to do what Tesla can do in just a couple months. And that's likely why we saw this huge rally today. Now, in terms of my thoughts, I mean, this really goes to show you how many people are willing to buy something just because of an analyst recommendation. But I do think that Morgan Stanley connected some really good dots here. However, at the end of the day, we are still a year before they even begin their planned start of delivering. If you look at the last spikes, FSR loves to rally massively all at once on a rumor or PR piece and then cool off and then get another rumor or PR piece. It doesn't have a strong, consistent uptrend like a lot of the other stocks we talk about. This is a stock that goes up really fast on news and then sells off. Sometimes it gets multiple news pieces in a week or so. I'm going to be doing a deep dive into Fisker this weekend, and I may provide you with a price target if I really like it in terms of a longer term play, but I still haven't set a price target on this, so I will defer on that. But keep an eye out for the price target if you're in ZipTrader U. If you're not in ZipTrader U, I will probably also make the price target public next week at some time. Okay, next, so bngo. So bngo popped up huge today, up 20% when I shot this video. A few days back on the 9th, I set a price target on this one to 17 to 18 bucks. Today's rally was a pretty nice reward for that, but it still has some room to get to 17 to 18 bucks. But the truth is that it took me a while to set a price target on this one, and that's okay. It took me some time to research and make a reasonable price target. We've talked about this one on the briefings, I believe, a few times during the uptrend, but it wasn't one that I actually valued myself. This was one that I put on it as a hype play, catalyst play. And people always make fun of me for lagging in terms of setting a concrete price target, but the reason is because I have to put a lot of research into putting a price target, especially when it comes to more scientific companies that are in niches that I'm not like very well informed on. I have to use a combination of the fundamentals and the technicals to actually make a valuation, and that takes some time. I took my damn time valuing NNDM, and when I finally did it, it was already in the high 8s already. However, NNDM still ended up more than doubling after that, and we still had people like, Charlie, you called this out too late. Yeah, but it still doubled. I care about getting targets right and focusing on the process. I don't care about getting them perfect. Yes, be cheap with plays, but if you see a stock that has 100% of upside, that is being cheap. There are a handful of plays that we called out mid-uptrend, and there are a handful of plays that we called out way before it even started uptrending. Key is just valuing them correctly, not focusing on getting them perfect. There's other plays like Huya, which we valued. We actually did end up calling Huya out at almost the complete bottom. I did my valuing of it back there. I made a public video. I said that this was going to break back into highs after 30, but when it hit 28, I designated it as a take profit play. It made sense to me and my risk management to designate it as a take profit play early, even though it was still a couple bucks before my price target because of how fast it got there and all of the risks that are on the horizon. And guess what happened? Well, it sold off rapidly the next day, and then by a stroke of luck, it ended up hitting my full profit target anyways. However, I designated it as a take profit play at 28, but that's okay. That doesn't mean you had a failed position. You got a nearly 50% run. Just because you missed out on the second part of the move doesn't mean that you failed on the position. It went from 19 to 28, which is almost like a 50% run. A 50% run is never a losing trade. Does it suck that it ran up to 34? After I said take profits? I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's about risk management. It's not about catching all of the moves. So I guess what I'm saying is make sure that you're comfortable with all positions that you're in terms of your risk management, but also in terms of the amount of research that you're putting into a play. If you don't want to value a play, even though it's running up strongly day after day, if you want to take your time to value the play and actually put the work in, well, don't feel bad about waiting to place your price target until you're confident in said price target. Anyways, folks, Huya was also our requested ticker of the day, so I just killed two birds with one stone. Anyways, folks, that finishes off the video. Go ahead and comment below. what tickers you'd like me to cover in tomorrow's video or at the end of tomorrow's video, and I'll go ahead and cover that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us below as well. You can also join us on ZipTrader Circle. If you'd like to get some free stocks and sign up with a great broker, we do have a link to Webull below. If you'd like to learn how to trade, would like access to our price targets, our daily morning briefings, and of course our private chat, I'll go ahead and put the link to ZipTrader U in the description below. Of course, only join us if you're ready to put the work in. We don't want people joining and then not using the resources. Anyways, folks, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.